When a man leaves the bachelor's life and starts a family, certain sacrifices have to be made, especially when it comes to car choices. One must say goodbye to the sports car and say hello to the family van or an MPV. Out goes the cool rides, and in comes the more practical variants. Now, most MPVs sold in the local market are pretty much bare bones, especially when you're shopping at the 1.3 million Philippine peso mark. That's something that Maxus Philippines wants to change. What we have here is the most fully loaded MPV this side of 1.3 million, the Maxus G50 Premium. And today, we get to drive it. Let's do this. Hello guys, I'm Reagan and we are back here at Maxus Quezon Avenue where we will do a full feature and drive impression of the all-new Maxus G50 Premium. So if your wife is bugging you to get a family-oriented MPV with all the premium options without breaking the bank, then head on down here to Maxus Quezon Avenue and give the G50 Premium a serious look. Typically, when you're shopping for an MPV because you've got a brood of kids and their yayas, you normally default for the Toyota Innova or one of the smaller MPV offerings like the Toyota Rush, the Mitsubishi Expander, or the Suzuki Ertiga. However, these established offerings are mainly sold as utilitarian people haulers, so you don't really get much when it comes to cabin comfort or tech appointments. They also lack that exterior style and flair that's normally associated with pricier crossovers and SUVs. You know, the type of vehicle that you'd be proud to step out of when you're at the driveway of a five-star hotel. That's a small problem that the Maxus G50 Premium aims to solve without breaking the bank. You have here an 8-seater MPV that has a lot of tech features and cabin appointments that could run with the newer Chinese crossover offerings. The great thing here is you get all that for only 1,288,000 Philippine pesos. Now let's see what that kind of money will get for you in the G50 Premium. When it comes to exterior looks, there's really not much to talk about when it comes to MPVs, but the Maxus G50 Premium begs to differ. Its front fascia can be mistaken as the baby brother of the Toyota Alphard with its wide gaping front grille here that's finished in chrome and this futuristic looking headlight assembly that also houses your LED DRLs and your LED headlights. I mean, look at this thing. It truly redefines what a mommobile should look like. The front bumper also gets a lot of these sharp lines and creases here that truly stand out. This baby doesn't make any effort to blend in. And when you get it in this color that's aptly called Roland Purple, it seems that standing out is its main mission in life. Now, when you see the side of the G50 Premium, you'd get a little bit more confused because while this falls under the MPV category, this baby looks a little bit more like a sleek minivan. It gives off the same vibe as if like the Honda Odyssey or the Toyota Alphard. It's even made more pronounced by the fact that your B, C, and your D pillars are all blacked out, which gives the G50 Premium a tasteful floating roof design. You also get a lot of lines and creases here on your doors, which serves to break off the slab-sidedness of a typical MPV. I mean, if you look at it, it doesn't really look too flabby to me. It looks like a van with abs. Now, this top spec variant gets power folding side mirrors with LED side repeaters here, and you also get these gorgeous 17-inch gunmetal wheels that's wrapped in 215/55 R17 tires. Now, hiding behind these decent-looking wheels are a set of four-wheel disc brakes. You've got ventilated disc up front and solid disc at the back. Now, in terms of ground clearance though, the G50 Premium may be a unibody MPV and not a body-on-frame, but its ground clearance is pretty similar to the one found in the Toyota Innova, which is at around 176 millimeters. Now, one noticeable improvement that I noticed here in the G50 Premium is the fact that it lacks a lot of chrome embellishments. You see, you do get some chrome here on your window garnishes, but other than that, you don't get any chrome embellishments on the side or the doors or anywhere here, at least on the side of the G50 Premium. Now, for me, that is a winner look. Now, when you head over to the rear end of the Maxus G50 Premium, you'll notice that the design of the rear end is sleek, simple, and done quite right. You get a nice looking LED taillight assembly here that's tied together by this chrome garnish down in the center. You also get the word Maxus here spelled out in all of its chrome glory. Now, one design cue that I'm not really fond of with the G50 Premium is the way they did this treatment on the rear bumper, where you have here something that looks like a fake vent. It gives off a little bit of a sporty vibe, but meh, I'd give it a pass. Now, when you pop open the liftgate, you'll notice that this top spec G50 Premium variant has a power-assisted liftgate. It's not really the fastest liftgate in the industry, but well, at least you still get a power-assisted liftgate in this variant. Now, when you open it, you'll see that you have 3 rows of seats here. The Maxus G50 is an 8-seater, and with the 3rd row up, you still get a good amount of trunk space here. We still don't have the official figures when it comes to liters for the trunk capacity, but who needs it anyway, because we can always do Reagan's luggage test. What I have here is a medium-sized luggage. This is the type that you take for short trips that could accommodate maybe around 20 kilos to 23 kilos worth of your stuff. And with this kind of luggage, you can put it at the space behind the 3rd row, and you still have a good amount of space there. This could easily fit even with all 3 rows up. Now, if you need more space though, you could always manually tumble down the 3rd row with a tug of a strap here. You tumble it down. And the good thing here is the G50 Premium's 3rd row folds flat into the floor. With that out of the way, you could now accommodate more luggage. And I also brought a large luggage here. This is the type that you bring when you travel to Europe, and you're allowed to carry like 30 kilos worth of your stuff. So with this kind of luggage, you put it there, you could actually fit 3 of these large luggage side by side. And you can even put a 4th luggage, a medium-sized luggage right here near the tailgate. And you can now fit all of those stuff coming from the airport or when you're going out for a trip. Now, this is a phenomenal amount of luggage space, especially for an 8-seater MPV of this size. Granted, with the 3rd row down, you only get 5 seats, but at least you could still house 4 golfers and their 4 golf bags and all of their locker bags as well. That's how big the trunk space of the Maxus G50 Premium is. The Maxus G50 is built in China, and to take advantage of that China-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, well, all G50s in the country sport the same engine. What we have here is a 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine that's good for 167 horses and 250 Newton meters of torque. Now, those are pretty healthy figures, especially when it comes to an MPV. However, the cherry on top, though, is the type of transmission that Maxus decided to use with its G50. All G50 variants in the country sport a dual clutch transmission and a 7-speed at that. This is probably the only van or MPV in the local market that sports a dual clutch transmission. And knowing for a fact that the Maxus G50 is manufactured by the same group that creates Volkswagen's vaunted DSG transmissions, I have such high expectations for our upcoming test drive later on. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, the G50 can return to you around 8 to 10 kilometers per liter, which is pretty okay, pretty standard when it comes to a turbo petrol MPV. The Maxus G50 Premium has so much cabin amenities, tech features, and safety stuff that can't really be found in an MPV, especially at this price point. In fact, it's got so much of this stuff that it practically invented a new car segment already. Luxury MPV. That has a really nice ring to it. Now, where to begin, because this baby has so much stuff? Well, first of all, you got this gorgeously wrapped leather seats here with this nice red accents and red stitching. And it has this beautiful design to it that seems to follow the contours of your body. The seats are also nice and soft. The leather is plush, and these babies would really give you a comfortable journey, especially when you're going out on a long drive. The cabin also sports a lot of these nice leather material. You also get a perforated leather finish here on your center dashboard. That's the first time I've seen that in the car, or in MPV at least. You also get these nice leather inserts on the door panels, and you've got a gorgeously leather wrapped steering wheel here. Your steering wheel Also has a flat bottom, and it's got these gorgeous large stitching here that gives it a really sporty vibe. You also have your buttons here for your cruise control, your infotainment system, and Bluetooth calling as well. Now from your steering wheel, you go to your instrument gauges, and you've got an analog set of gauges here. These are actually quite beautifully designed. They look similar to the gauges found in the Peugeot or the Chery Tiggo 7, which means that these babies actually look quite good. In the middle of these instrument gauges, you also have a digital display here that shows you your vital stuff and your stats. From there, in your instrument gauges, you move on to your infotainment system, and this Maxus G50 strays away from the other Maxus models that I've seen and tested in the past, because this baby sports a massive 12.3-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Wow, this is so nice. I mean, a 12.3-inch touchscreen system in an MPV at this price point. I mean, wow guys, it's like bang, game over dude. Now the resolution of this infotainment screen is also gorgeous. It's a high definition. Well, you don't have Apple CarPlay, you don't have Android Auto, and also the 360-degree view camera is a little bit on the simple side, but guys, you get a 360-degree view camera in an MPV at this price point. I mean, I am not complaining at all, guys. So you got all that fancy features on your infotainment system, and the good thing here is the G50 also has a separate AC controls here in the center stack. These are physical buttons and knobs, so that's a nice tech step back for the G50, because most other fancy like crossovers that feature all of these tech already have the AC control systems in the infotainment system. So the fact that we have physical knobs and buttons here for your climate control, that is a welcome improvement, at least in my opinion. From your dual zone climate control system here, you also got a row of your charging ports here. You got a couple of USB ports, a 12-volt charger there, and you have here the shift knob that is connected to your 7-speed dual clutch transmission. This is a gorgeous shift knob. You got a little bit of piano black finishes here, but surrounding that is another type of finish that is really gorgeous to the eye, guys. I mean, you gotta see this for yourself. This is not like your usual carbon fiber or faux carbon fiber look. This design, I'm really attracted to it. I really find it really cool looking. From your gorgeous shifter here, you also have an electronic parking brake with an auto hold feature, and you have a couple of cup holders and a wireless charging pad that can charge compatible smartphones. So the mere fact you've got all of this in an MPV, I keep on saying this, guys, because wow, normally MPVs don't sport all of these types of tech. Now you also have this nice perforated leather wrapped center armrest here with, of course, a console there. And the icing on the cake, guys, well, you also get a full-blown panoramic sunroof right there on top. I mean, you can open that for those nice romantic rainy drives or those nice sunny afternoons. Now, when you look at the overall cabin of the G50 Premium, you get the vibe that you're not really in an MPV. You get the vibe that you're inside really nice crossover, because you get that real crossover vibe here with all of this tech, cabin materials, and creature comforts. While the front, the cockpit area is really good. I want to head to the second row now to see what kind of tech features and creature amenities your kids will enjoy at the back seat. The G50 Premium qualifies as an MPV because the second row doors swing out rather than slide forward and back like in an MPV. That being said, though, you get plenty of room here in the second row. You get a good amount of headroom. No, not really good amount, guys. A phenomenal amount of headroom here. You could actually put a basketball on top of my head and you still got room to spare, and that's even with the panoramic sunroof as well. You also get a good amount of knee room here and a decent amount of legroom as well. The G50 Premium is a unibody MPV. It's not a body on frame, so that means that you sit quite low inside the car, so that explains why you've got a lot of atmosphere that can be found right here at the second row. You also get a lot of toys here at the back. You have your own controls for your AC vents, and the AC vents are conveniently located right here beside the panoramic sunroof. You also get an LED dome light here on the sides for reading stuff and all that. And below your AC vent controls here, you've also got a lot of charging options as well. You got a 12-volt socket here and a USB port over there. Now, you don't really get captain seats here in the second row of the G50. If you want to get some nifty captain seats, you might as well pony up for the larger G10, because in that baby you get 4 captain seats. However, even without the captain seats though, the G50 has a nifty little trick that would really make your little ones truly happy. You have a nice fold-out tray table right here behind your driver and front passenger seats, which is really useful if you guys decide to go through a McDonald's drive-thru. Now, given the fact that you've got your AC vents here, you've got your panoramic sunroof, a ton of space, your charging ports, and this nifty little tray table right here, well, this second row seat is the perfect place to park all of your mini-me's. Now, I mentioned to you guys that the G50 is an 8-seater, and now let's see how easy it is to access the third row. Unlike other crossovers, SUVs, you don't really get a latch here. Instead, you can find one here at the side. So you tumble this down and slide it forward. Unfortunately, that's the only amount that you could slide it forward, at least for this larger piece of seat here. But it's more than enough already to climb into the third row. Now, back here at the third row, you saw that I tried to access the third row from the left side of the car, even if I was already told that the only access for the third row is on the right side. So that's pretty typical of a hard-headed Filipino. That being said, though, if you access it from the right side, you'll have an easier time getting into the third row. Now, at first, I thought the third row will be a cramped affair, but that's not really the case here. You've got a theater-style seating here, wherein your third row is actually a little bit more elevated than the second row. So that gives you a really nice view of the front and doesn't give you that claustrophobic feeling, even if you are seated here at the, well, at the economy class part of the G50. I'm 5'6", guys, and right now I'm seated here where there's a second row seat right in front of me, but it doesn't feel cramped at all. I thought that this would be something that will be good enough for short trips or for short kids or for short people, but the way I'm sitting here now, this is actually quite comfortable even if you take me up from Manila to Baguio. The fact that you also have a nice panoramic sunroof there still also contributes to that nice feeling here at the back that doesn't really make you feel claustrophobic. Another good thing about the third row of the G50 Premium is it doesn't scrimp as well on the toys. You get a couple of cup holders per side, so that's a total of 4 cup holders, and you also get a USB charging port, at least on one side, on the right side. So you gotta fight for the right side, guys, just to access that USB charging port. You also get a couple of AC vents as well here on the third row, so that would make it really comfortable for you to stay right here at the back. Now, it's a great place to stay in here, guys, but I don't know about you. I'm ready to take this baby out for a drive and try out that 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Let's go out for the drive right now. Alright, so we're now behind the wheel of the Maxus G50. And right off the bat, I could tell you that, well, we are in an MPV/van. The visibility of this baby pretty much rivals the visibility of other larger vans. You've got excellent visibility up front. You've got large windows here on your side. And yeah, wow. Yeah, this is really, well, an MPV/van. Now, when it comes to your seat comfort, the driver's seat is, as I mentioned, quite plush. And the good thing here is, although the material is quite soft, well, the seat itself has a good amount of support, especially in the lumbar area. It's not as heavily bolstered as some of like the other offerings that, let's say, for Volkswagen or something like that, but it's decent enough that it could provide you a good amount of support when you're going on a long drive. Now, while I'm driving this thing, I'm getting that overall vibe that I'm piloting a crossover rather than an MPV or even a van. Maybe it's the fact that, well, the cabin appointments looks like the interior of a crossover, Or maybe it's the fact that this baby is a unibody construction and not a body on frame. So it feels like I'm piloting a mid-size crossover like a Santa Fe or a Sorento rather than an actual MPV. That's actually a pretty good thing. And despite the fact that this baby is meant to, well, ferry 8 passengers and your stuff, well, the Maxus G50 has a good level of suspension comfort. It feels quite planted and quite composed, despite the fact that I'm just a single person here inside the cabin that's meant to seat 8. Granted, it's not gonna be as plush as, let's say, a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. But that's the thing. This is primarily a people hauler, and it could really haul, well, people, but at the same time, the ride comfort, it's actually on the decent side. Coming from a standstill, the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission makes itself known. There's a little bit of a delay whenever you're going from a standstill into, well, first gear, because pretty much, as I mentioned before, the dual-clutch transmission is pretty much an automated manual. So it's like the car would shift first from neutral into first gear and then give you, a go. Granted, at low parking lot speeds like what we're going through now, the 7-speed DCT of this G50 is not jerky at all. I would normally expect that a DCT transmission would have a little bit of jerk at slow speed, but it only happens when you're coming from a standstill and going into your, well, going into the start of your drive. But while driving around at around 20 kilometers per hour, yeah, you're not getting any of that DCT jerkiness that we know so much about DCTs. And that's actually a good thing. Alright, now let's head out to the open road. Alright. Woo! Okay, in terms of acceleration, well, it's not brutal. It accelerates decently for an MPV. And this baby loves to downshift as well whenever you're stepping on the gas pedal. I mean, wow. I wouldn't really expect too much when it comes to actual performance. Well, for a van, for an MPV, in fact, especially something that's as heavy as this. But wow, this baby could still motivate itself quite well. Steering feel is also on the light side, guys. So it's not as light as the one that I've tried on the Ford Territory, but it's still light. It's actually quite a good thing given the fact that this baby is quite heavy. So having a light steering wheel is a big plus, especially when you're maneuvering this around in a parking lot. Now, granted, while it's light, it still has some form of feedback, so it's not an aesthetic. It doesn't feel like the steering wheel of an arcade game. So that's a good thing as well. I like that they tuned in a little bit of feedback into this thing despite the lightness of the wheel. Okay, let's try a quick burst of acceleration here. Yeah, you could hear the engine noise, and it does accelerate quite well. Not as fast as, let's say, a sedan or a sports car, but in terms of doing like overtaking maneuvers on the highway or climbing up like steep mountain roads in Baguio with a full load of passengers, well, I'm sure this G50 could really give you the proper performance that you need. Now, when it comes to its suspension, the suspension doesn't have any sound at all from underneath. I'm going through a not so perfect road here, and the only sound I could hear is the rattle of my camera mount. That's the only thing. There are no rattles, niggles, or thunks that can be heard in the under chassis of this G50, and that, my friends, is a great thing. Right, let's try it. Let's go for some more bumpy roads. Yeah. It absorbs the bumps pretty well. It's very composed. Wow, guys. This baby, I have to say, guys, it's fantastic. The steering feel is good. The performance is good. The space is fantastic. What the cabin creature comforts, cabin appointments, the tech. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, I know it's an MPV, practically a van. But wow, coming from a guy with 3 kids, this baby is almost perfect, to be perfectly honest. I don't really mind the gas engine because in terms of fuel economy, well, this baby could still give you around 8 to 10 kilometers per liter in mixed city and highway driving. So that's actually quite decent for a van. Anyway guys, to wrap up this driving impression, all I could say is I'm blown away. Maxus is a British brand that came by way of China. But wow, this baby is like, it's like a van and a crossover had a one-night stand. Oh, wow. Alright, so I didn't see the speed bump there, and see, it had a little bit of wheel spin, but in terms of the suspension, it didn't even get rattled. Wow, this is fantastic. So as I was saying guys, the G50, it's like a crossover and the van had a one-night stand, and after 9 months, the G50 came out. You've got a crossover-like feel right here up front in the cockpit. The performance and the handling pretty much well equals that of a premium crossover as well. But you get the passenger space and the luggage capacity of a van and an MPV. I mean, oh my goodness. This baby right here, it's practically the perfect family vehicle for the family man with a lot of kids and also a lot of yayas. Once in a while, a new car comes along that completely blows the socks off the competition. The Maxus G50 Premium is pretty much in that segment. This luxury MPV can deliver a stellar journey every single time at a price point that's pretty much tough to beat. Once again guys, thank you for watching one of my car reviews. If you like this review, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I promise you guys I'll make it worth your while if you subscribe to Reagan's Rides. I'm Reagan and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye-bye.